Hello fellow lovers of the liminal and the weird, and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces. Just doing a quick channel update today, and honestly there's not too much to talk about. We've had a lot of interesting videos this week, some great conversations, specifically about special effects and Star Trek. I'm making this video Wednesday afternoon, so of course the week's only half over. We'll probably have more stuff that I'll be talking about in the next channel update. But for now, I don't have really too much to talk about. We'll start with sci-fi news, and I only have one item. And that is that there is a show called Dark Matter, which is coming out May 8th on Apple Plus, I think. Let me make sure. Yes, it's coming out on Apple TV Plus. And the trailers look interesting. I'm not familiar with the books that it's based on, but the trailers do look interesting. It looks like some kind of technological ability to move through multiverse. That's kind of the best I can get from it. It looks, I think I'm going to check it out. It looks really interesting. So let me know what you think about that, and if you've read the books that it's based on. That's it in sci-fi news. So on to channel news. We recently discovered, my brother and I, we were talking about Ray Bradbury, and we recently discovered that his first book, which was a collection of short stories called Dark Carnival and was released by Arkham House Publishers, has finally been re-released. And this has been, I mean, I've never seen this in the wild. I've looked on eBay constantly trying to find a copy of it that I can afford, and I've never seen it lower than $450. It is rare because Ray Bradbury took the stories out of it that he liked and rewrote them and put them in October Country, and then a few other ones in other places. But there's a few that he has really left kind of unpublished after that initial publication. But we recently found out that March of this year, I think there was a European release of Dark Carnival, which is all the original stories in their original forms. And this is really interesting to me to see the first collection of stories that Ray Bradbury had to offer to the world. So we're going to add that into our rotation. My brother and I both ordered a copy of these books. You can go out and look on Amazon. You might be able to find a copy. They're again, I think they're Europe only. Maybe not, because I think I paid $20 and no shipping on Prime. So I think you can get them out here, but when I look on eBay, they're all Europe only. So I don't have any idea. They're not in Barnes and Nobles. I checked all that. Really, the only place I could find them was on Amazon. So if you'd like to grab that, that is a cool thing that has recently come out. That we are in the future, it's going to take a while for us to get them in the mail, but in the future, we're going to be looking at those original Ray Bradbury stories, along with the Asimovs and the Philip K. Dick that we've been doing. So yeah, look forward to that. And if you would like a copy of that, go grab one. It's really cool. I am reading, I'm halfway through The Shadow of the Torture by Gene Wolfe. This is very interesting because it is other than Zelazny's Lord of Light, this is the most requested and most recommended book on this channel. And I am halfway through it, and please, no spoilers in the comments. I love the writing. I love the characters. I have no idea. That's not even true. I know what's going on. I'm surprised how little plot this book has. It's very interesting to me that this seems like, the best way I can explain it is it seems like a Soseki Natsume novel. He's a Japanese writer that would do, I guess, what you would call slice of life novels, where it's just kind of these daily events in the life of a character. And of course, through it all, I'm being introduced to a really unique world. But yeah, there's been no driving, overarching plot that's been keeping me going, which isn't a complaint. It's just very interesting. This is not what I was expecting from a book that is so beloved on YouTube. So I know a lot of you are probably itching to say, wait, it gets better. The end is crazy. I do have a guess, and I hope it's more than this. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what my guess is, but we chose my brother's movie that he's going to do next week based on my guess of what's going on in this book. And the movie that he will be doing, see if you can suss out what my guess is about the twist at the end of this book. Again, please don't spoil it in the comments, at least until I've finished it through next week. The movie that my brother's going to be looking at next week is the original Planet of the Apes. Of course, a new Planet of the Apes just came out into theaters recently, so we thought it'd be a good time to do that. And I think that there's a connection between The Shadow of the Torturer and Planet of the Apes, but that is just a guess. So we'll have to see as we go along. If you are reading along with Shadow of the Torturer and it's your first time, let me know what you think so far. But again, if you've already read it, please don't spoil anything for anybody else. So yeah, next week I'll be doing a review and then a deep read on Shadow of the Torturer by Gene Wolfe. And Jason will be doing the Planet of the Apes, the original movie. And he will also be looking at the next Asimov story, which is called Liar. That's in iRobot, the next Asimov story in iRobot. And it's called Liar. So that's what you can expect next week from the channel. I'm going to turn it over to Jason here for the comment of the week. And then also, he's going to talk a little bit about his connection or his feelings about the book Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. The reason he's doing this is because last Sunday I did a library tour video of the C section of my science fiction library. And when I pulled out my copy of Ender's Game, I talked about the fact that I hadn't read it, but my brother had, and I know that he likes it. And so I just asked him if he would say a few words about it. So it's funny that you'll see this video before you'll see the book tour video. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to turn it over to him and let him finish this out. One quick thing before I go, I just wanted to say thank you to Toy Techno, TOI_techno, for giving us a super chat. I really appreciated that. It's our first one, and it meant a lot to us. Thank you very much for expressing the thanks for what we do. We love doing it, and thank you very much for helping us out. All right, on to Jason.
Hey, everybody. So Chris has asked me to talk about Ender's Game a little bit, which is a book that I've read, surprisingly enough, and I really loved it. It is an excellent book. There's a reason it's in most people's top 10, at least, for best sci-fi books ever written. It's incredible. If you haven't read Ender's Game, you absolutely should. I feel like it's a rather simple read. It's more straightforward than some of the stuff we've been talking about on the channel, which can be a nice break from that kind of stuff. Or if you prefer things to be a little more straightforward, like myself, I believe. I think Chris is more into the deeper stuff, right? But if you like straightforward, fun, cool science fiction plots, it's incredible. Truly incredible. You absolutely have to read it. So I'm going to spoil it now. I want to talk a little bit about what happened with me while reading the book and what I think about it. And there's going to be a ton of spoilers. So stop now. If you haven't read Ender's Game, you need to. But stop the video. Okay, so the book really blew my mind because, of course, it has a big twist, which I really enjoyed. Honestly, it's kind of Harry Potter. It's about a young kid who ends up going to this special school and getting trained to do this very specific thing. There's this big sport that they do at the school, and the kid's very good at it, of course. It's this zero-G thing where they're flying around. I think, honestly, Harry Potter took a lot from Ender's Game. But the thing that really got me about it was that twist at the end. And I'm not sure that it happened on purpose. That's the freaky thing about Ender's Game for me, is I feel like some of the power of the book kind of happened accidentally, and I'm sure the writer would be super pissed if they heard me say this, because I want to say that every artist does everything on purpose, but this book just got a little bit weird in the middle. So it has a dark moment, of course, like every story does, right? There's a part where he gets really downtrodden and he feels like he can't do anything and he has to give up his school, and he goes back to Earth. And he's got this cabin and he's like dwelling in this cabin, and he goes out on this boat and lays in the lake and looks up, and it's a young person, right? They're coming home from school, and I feel like maybe for a 14-year-old this could be very appealing, right? It's very dramatic, but it's very slow. Like, I was having a blast reading all the way through this, and then I got to the dark moment and I almost stopped reading. I literally almost gave up on the book because it was kind of boring. Sorry, the cat wanted to come in. I literally put it down and I was going to completely give up on it. But I decided, no, I'm going to keep going. This is one of Dana's favorite books. It's got to be good. And I really loved all the stuff up until he went back to Earth. So I'm just going to keep pushing through. And of course they call him back and he's super whiny and they take him up there and he doesn't really want to do it, and they got to do this last test before we can get on with the book. So he goes in, does this stupid test, and just kills everything. In a video game that they play, he's in charge of the army of the humans, and they're fighting some alien, and through this video game they're trying to train him to be a good general. So he's got to do this stupid test, and he just goes nuts and throws everything in the game that he can at them, and he completely wipes them out, and he loses a bunch of our forces. But everybody is celebrating when he's done, because that was the actual war. It wasn't a video game. And that shocked me so much. Like, because of the boredom, I hate to say that, because of the lag in this book, the reveal of that moment was insane. And that could have just been brilliantly crafted, but it's very strange to use boredom as a tool. Do you know what I mean? And of course, I know there are many people who are much better readers than I am who would say it's the dark moment, it's completely essential, there's nothing wrong with it, and that's totally fine. This was just literally my experience. But the weird thing was, my experience with that boredom made me love the book twice as much. The shock of that reveal was so huge. And they did make a film out of it. It didn't do well. I think I might give it a rewatch, but it does not. And I'm not sure what went wrong. I think it might be an interesting thing to analyze, to be honest. Maybe we'll make that a thing in the future. What went wrong with Ender's Game, right? But oh my gosh, the twist in that book just knocked me down. It was so good. Because he's gutted, of course, because he didn't have any care for the humans that he was losing, which could have been part of the reason that he was able to win, but he was just throwing everything at them and just he wiped out everything because he was kind of throwing a fit because he was mad, as opposed to feeling like this is an actual war and I need to deal with this. Kitty, you're going crazy right now. All right, so I also need to talk about our comment from the week. So I want to highlight a comment from John Big Booty, and I actually can't go into every piece of the comment because, as is true with every comment by John Big Booty, it's just this list of great facts. Just wonderful things that sort of tie into what we were talking about in the video. And he does it for almost every video. Such a great amount of knowledge and just all of these interesting things that he brings in. It's really wonderful to see comments like that, just to educate me more about the subject that we're talking about. And I feel like other people benefit from it as well who read the comments. It's super fun, and I really appreciate that. All right, well, I think that's about it for our updates for the week. If you liked this, hit the like button. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe, and thank you so much.